Hey guys, hey Willy. Just before we get into the video, I live in Wales and it's August and this is what it looks like from my office window. So I just wanted to officially wish you all a happy spooky season.
Dark bleatings, everybody. I'm doing a book tag today for the first time and I'm really excited. I didn't actually get tagged in it and I don't know if that's how a book tag works. I'm still not really great at this. But I saw it. Olly did a video yesterday that was this specific book tag I'm doing, and I'll link his video in the description as well because it's really fun to watch. And obviously that's where I got this idea. The tag was created by Harriet Rosie, and I'd really love it if you have answers to these questions. If you'd like put them in the comments so that I can actually talk to you, because that is why I started this channel, because I don't have people like in my in-person life to talk about books with that much. So yeah, I'd love it if we could like kind of all do the tag if people who are interested and who want to anyway. So let's go straight in. Number one, have you ever lied about reading a book? Yes, but it was an accident. I was recommending this is so stupid. I was recommending The Haunting of Hill House to people for ages, going on about it, and then like sometimes I'd talk about it with someone who'd also read it and they'd be mildly confused by what I was saying, and then I realised when the Mike Flanagan series came out, The Haunting of Hill House, that I was like, hang on, have I read this? And then when I checked, I'd actually just been confusing it with The Turn of the Screw for the whole time. So I'm sorry if you're one of the people I recommended it to and you were confused by why I was recommending it. But I have since read it, so I can genuinely recommend it now. I do think it's a great spooky story, and also I really like The Turn of the Screw. But I'm an idiot. Number two, have you ever avoided a book because of controversy around the content or author? Yes. Not a book specifically, but for personal reasons. Me and a lot of other people, I will no longer buy anything put out by J.K. Rowling. I don't want to go too much into that because I really don't like to get into real world issues that much here, because I just want to talk about books and enjoy books, and there's a reason why I spend all of my day-to-day life as much as possible in fiction. But I clearly do not agree with the main view that she has that seems to be her entire personality now. I feel like she's almost as famous for all of the hundreds of comments at this point that she's made about the trans community. She's more well known, she's as well known for that now as she is for the Harry Potter series, and I've got plenty of friends where I've got a difference of opinion on things with them, and that's okay. And I do read other authors that are controversial, like if it's an author that uses like really outdated language, but because they were writing in the 1800s or something, like I'll feel uncomfortable with the actual language and stuff, but I'm not directly contributing to that person's wealth because they're dead, and I can't in good conscience and I don't want to buy any more of her stuff anyway. So yeah, I don't want to go into it too much. It's just like a difference of opinion is fine, but I got a problem with people who spend so much of their time making life harsher for people who already by default have harder lives. I'm sure that she morally thinks she's in the right somehow, like she seems to think she's defending someone, but from where I'm sitting it just looks like she's attacking people who already still don't have medical equality, social equality, and all this. Like I don't know, I just don't like it. And life is hard enough when people aren't giving you shit all the time, and it's hard enough for people who aren't even in a demographic where they're typically targeted. So I just don't understand. I just don't understand making life so much more miserable for people who already have struggles that we don't have, and by we I mean people who aren't trans. Three, have you ever been sent a book for free and not disclosed it? Yeah. But like, not because I'm hiding that it was sent to me, it's just that it doesn't come up sometimes. Usually in videos I'll say the author sent this to me, or you know, I'm really glad that the author sent this to me, otherwise I might not have found it. I am sent quite a lot of books for review, and a lot of what I talk about is their review copies, but it doesn't affect what I say in my review at all, whether or not I got the book. So it doesn't feel like relevant information that I should be giving to people necessarily, but like if it naturally comes up, I'll say it. If I'm wrong about that, and as people who watch my book reviews you would prefer to know that, just let me know in the comments and I'll make sure that I disclose it every time in a video. But on my website as well, I write reviews, and sometimes I say, you know, oh, I'm glad the author sent this, otherwise I might not have ever discovered it, and things like that. But I don't put like a disclaimer at the top like, oh, the author sent this to me. Yeah, because I do write critical reviews if it's a book that I didn't enjoy, and sometimes books are just not to my taste at all. Like, I don't like extreme horror, typically speaking, so I try to remember that when I write my review, but I'll say this wasn't for me, and I can't really comment on if the use of violence here was effective or whatever in this context, because I'm not an extreme horror reader. I'll always say who I think might enjoy the book, but I will be honest if I didn't like it. I'm also an indie author that sends review copies out of my stuff, and I never expect a review. I hope for reviews, but I don't expect them. But if someone does review my book, I'm grateful regardless of what they say that they took the time to do it, and I'd hope that they would be honest. So maybe it's because of that, but yeah, if I'm wrong and I should be disclosing that every time, let me know. I don't disclose it on purpose on Amazon though, because if you say that, I don't know if it's like an AI thing that looks for keywords or whatever, but Amazon is really bad for like removing book reviews. And apparently it removes book reviews if you've stated that you were sent it for free by the author for some reason. Also, very often, if I actually liked the book, a physical copy, I always get e-copies, not always, but usually get e-copies, and if I like the book, I buy it anyway, so then I am a buying customer of the book, a paying customer. So that was a really long, convoluted answer to that, but so in general, no, not really, but on YouTube more often than not. 4. Have you ever bought a book with no intention of reading it? No, I have not. I've bought books that have sat on my shelf for years because I haven't got round to them yet, but when I'm actually buying a book, I always intend to read it. I don't have space for books that I'm not going to read. And I'm going to tell you an anecdote now because this has been making me laugh for years. At the time, it was really annoying to me because this was a one in a line of things, right? But I've been telling this to people for years and people always laugh, so I'm going to share it with you. I had an ex, and when I was with this guy, one of the things that I bonded with him over was that he had books. So I just because it's my favorite hobby, and I don't normally meet people, like boyfriends especially, that read as a hobby. So I saw that he had like a full bookcase, and he'd spent a lot of money on these books. I could tell like some of them were like academic texts about business practices and things like that, marketing and like, you know, educational stuff. And then he also had autobiographies, you know, like the life stories of really successful people who, you know, started life living in a trailer, like inspirational you know, stories of success and things like that. And so that was just like a really nice thing to have in common with him, that we both like to read, even though like completely different reading tastes. And then when we moved in together and I was unpacking my many books, he started criticizing me for having so many books, and he was like, but have you read that one? Have you read that one? And if you've already read it, why have you kept it? Why haven't you got rid of these books? Because you're not going to read them again. And I was like, well, you know, lots of them I have reread, but they're, you know, treasures to me, my books. I keep everything that I love, especially like, I feel I don't even like getting rid of books that I don't like, but so if I really enjoyed a book, I love, you know, I keep them, and sometimes I buy like special editions of them or like hardback versions or whatever. So, and it's like they're my main thing. I could get rid of like all the other decorative stuff in my house before I get rid of my books, and he just wouldn't get off my case about it, about how it was taking up so much space and how pointless it was and how stupid it was of me to keep books that I've already read. And I was like, but I don't understand how you don't get this, because you have a bookcase of books. And he said, and I quote, because I'll never forget this, yeah, but I haven't read any of them. And I was like, but what do you mean? And he said, oh, I've never read a book cover to cover. And I was like, oh, but you spent hundreds of pounds on your book collection. Why on earth do you have books if you don't read and you have no intention of reading them? And he said, because if people come into your house and you don't have books, you look stupid. And I mean, is it just me? This guy was hammering me and calling me stupid for keeping books that I've already read, but he didn't see the irony, like all the stupidity in spending a significant amount of money on books that you've chosen because it makes you look smart, so that when people come into your house, they think you're smarter. And I'm flabbergasted, because like I personally don't think that whether or not you read is any indicator of intellect or intelligence. Like reading's a hobby, like sports or gaming or whatever, you know. It's just taste and how you like to spend your time. It's not really intelligence based. But the fact that he did think that, and that he'd sooner spend all of this money on books for show, and I was like, if you feel dumb that you don't read, you could read. I mean, you could read these books that you bought. But yeah, no. Some people are strange, aren't they? 5. Have you ever got caught up in Booktube drama? No, I have not. But I've never involved myself in Booktube drama. In general, I try and stay away from drama. I'm just here to talk about books and fiction, and you know, life is hard, isn't it? And there's always drama, and there's a reason that I don't watch the news. And typically speaking, when I'm on social media, I'm just looking at book stuff or horror stuff. Fiction. I like to live in fiction. I don't get involved. But I would be lying if I'd said I'd never gone down a Booktube drama rabbit hole. There was something in recent years where there was something going on with an author that I personally know, and it was quite a big thing. It really escalated. So I was just sat there one night on TikTok, and I have a TikTok thing. I don't really know what to do with it. I'm trying to figure out what to do with it. But I went on there and I like searched the hashtag, and I ended up like just sitting there watching these videos for hours before I realised that I was rotting my own brain. Yeah, I'm only laughing because it was in my opinion, it got completely blown out of proportion, this particular drama. But yeah, no, there's always bookish drama though. I always see, I always see people posting on social media like screenshots of arguments they're having with people and stuff, and I hope to never be caught up in anything, because I'd rather just be talking about books I like. 6. Have you ever had a hate comment and did you respond? Yeah, I've had a couple, which is actually really funny to me, because I like to think I'm fairly inoffensive, but apparently I caused offence. Last year I did a video that's entitled something like the best horror written by women or something, and it was just like a top 10 list of horror stories that I love written by women, and a few people came at me for that, and it was weird because I think there are still a couple of comments that were negative left on the video, but I deleted and blocked 2 people because I got messages and comments where people were just being vicious towards me because I left men out of the list and I was being prejudiced and sexist, and apparently, and I just thought, oh, I can't be bothered with this, because come on guys, like everybody knows why female specific lists like this exist. It's because women do not have as much exposure in horror, or in general with books, unless we're talking the romance genre. But usually most genres of fiction are dominated by men. Most people are talking about books written by men because they're marketed to us more, and we buy them more, and it's just, you know, it's all ingrained socially and everything. And also there are statistics like only 20% of female authors' readerships are men, which means that 80% of men don't pick up books written by women in the first place. And I do have sources for that. If you want them, I'd be happy to send you the links for those. That's as of last year. So yeah, you know, everybody knows that that's why people occasionally highlight female authors specifically. And the comments from these two particular people got personal about me and why I'm doing it. I'm not gonna tolerate that kind of stuff. Like, people can disagree with me in my comments and whatever, but yeah, I'm not gonna have that. Evan, have you ever made a video just because you knew it would get views? I have not. My channel is small, and I'm really grateful for everybody that's here, and it's because, you know, it's nice to talk to people, even though, you know, people aren't talking back to me physically, but it's nice to talk to people about books. And I'm not a big enough channel, I don't think, to like start considering my content in terms of like if I think it's going to get, or make content specifically because I think it's going to get lots of views. I've had videos that I've uploaded where I thought, oh, that might get more views than my average thing, but that's been like a thought as I've been doing it, not the reason for making the video, if that makes sense. So my video last week, ranking all the Stephen King novels in 20 minutes or less, I thought that I might get more views on that, just because it's Stephen King, so that's an author everyone's heard of, and you know, people look for Stephen King content sometimes. I thought that might get more views than some of like my indie book reviews and things like that, just because more people have heard of Stephen King. I've never made a video based on that I think is going to get views. I've been surprised by videos that have got more views than I expected though, and on my website I hardly ever look at the stats because I'm afraid that if I look at the stats too much I'm gonna start being swayed about what to make. And I only made my website and the YouTube, I'm so old. I only made Happy Goat Horror because I wanted to, so that I could talk about the stuff I read and the stuff I enjoy, and like, you know, just share the love of where I like to read. So yeah, I try not to look at my stats too much because I'm afraid it's going to start influencing what I'm talking about then, if that makes sense. But yeah, the most viewed thing on my website by far is I wrote a review of No One Writes for Free by Judith Sonnet, and it's got 10,000 hits more than the next highest ranking thing on my website. And it's consistently, since I uploaded that review about a year ago, week to week, it's still the most visited page on my site. But I don't like extreme horror. And I did for a minute think, oh, should I be doing more extreme horror content then, because that's what gets more views? But I just don't really enjoy it as a subgenre, so I get traumatized by it, and I don't want to spend my day-to-day life reading things that are going to give me nightmares. So yeah, the short answer is no. I don't know why I waffled on about that so much, but yes, it's an interesting question because it's I could see how I could go down that path if I look at my stats too much. So yeah, I just avoid it. 8, if you could go back to the beginning of your channel, would you do anything differently? In terms of content, no. I think I'm just talking about things that I enjoy reading, or like topics I enjoy, and I like lists, like, you know, top 10 vampire books and things. That's the kind of stuff I like to watch. So I'm kind of making videos about things that I search for, that I like to watch on YouTube. I think I would tell myself to relax a little bit though, because my first bunch of videos I was so concerned about like the background, and I've got this Baphomet blanket and I used to like pin it up as a background, or I'd rearrange my shelves behind me to have certain ornaments and things on them, or to frame books a certain way. But it's so time consuming. You know, I have a ring light, I'd be faffing around with the lighting, closing the blinds, opening it, like I was wearing more makeup than I normally wear in day-to-day life, and maybe I could actually make a bit more effort with my appearance for the sake of the internet, but it's time consuming. So I think I would just like to tell myself to relax a little bit and just focus more on what I'm talking about rather than what's in the background, because people are probably just listening to these videos anyway, like as they wash the dishes or whatever. So I wouldn't change anything about the channel as I started, but yeah, maybe my stress levels about things that don't really matter. 9. Are there any channels you wish you could be more like? Yeah, plenty. I'm happy with my channel, and I think the main thing I've tried to do here is just sort of just be myself and just talk about things I really enjoy. But there are elements of other people's channels. Like I watch a lot of Booktubers, so I'm not gonna like mention every single one here, and you know, I'd go on because it'll really drag out the time of this video. But like off the top of my head, a couple I really like, Olly, so who I've like copied this tag from. He does crime, pulp, horror, that sort of thing, and he talks about a lot of different types of books, whereas I only talk about horror, and he's a bit more diverse in his reading tastes and the kinds of things he discusses, and I'd love to be more like that, but I just don't want to read anything that's not horror. I've tried, I'm just not as interested, and I've got so little time and precious reading time that I'm quite one note. I'm just a horror person basically. And I really love Eric Smith, my YouTube bestie, who I found because I like his channel and we started following each other at some point. I can't even remember. I think we actually talked about this, and I got a brain like a sieve at the moment this week. But yeah, he's got a really relaxed style to his content. So he reads so fast as well, that guy. But he's really chill. It's like a really relaxed environment, and I've been on his channel a couple of times. We've done a few videos together, and I love it when he hosts, because he's a really good host that asks really good questions when he has people on. So I do look up to him for that. And then let's think, aesthetically, Mers from Harpies in the Trees, her videos are beautiful and they're very her. She's you should definitely check out her channel if you like horror stuff. She's got such a lovely tone and way about her. She's got this like cool little creepy sort of graphic to kick her videos off with a little bit of music, and she has this nice background music in the background of her videos that she talks over. And it's not just like the aesthetic of the video, but it's her style, and it like comes out in how she creates her videos and her content. It's just very personality driven, and it's lovely. And that's another thing I wish I could actually, I'm jealous of this, she has got the most lovely soothing voice. I could listen to her talk all day, and I know that my voice is a little bit pitchy and annoying, so yes, that I definitely wish I could be like some other YouTubers, some other Booktubers. I'll put a list, I'll definitely put the channels that I like in the description, but I'll also list some others that I didn't mention, Booktubers that I like as well, in case you're interested and you're looking for more bookish people, because there are lots of really, really good ones. 10. What's something you love about your channel? The author interviews. It's my favourite thing. I really enjoy every aspect of doing this. Actually, I don't really enjoy editing because it's time consuming, but I do really enjoy getting to talk to you about books and authors, and I especially love spotlighting indie authors, because it's so hard going trying to market books, and I love it if I've helped at all, if a single person finds an author they like that they might not have heard of or they hadn't heard of before. That makes me feel like really, really happy, and then I got more people to talk about these books with, so it's kind of selfish, but the author interviews, it's because I'm sort of like an aspiring author, like I'm an indie author, and you know, I still consider myself an aspiring author. I'm not where I want to be. Like I always want to be better than I am, and I look up to so many authors, and then as a reader I'm a massive fan, and I'm such a fangirl of all the people I love, and I've been so lucky so far to get to interview, well, I say interview, like chat to really, a mix of people that are in mainstream publishing and indie publishing, and like kind of like all different types of indie publishing, because you got people who self-publish, and then people that are through presses of like varying sizes and stuff like that. And it's just been so interesting for me to get to advice from these people. You know, people have been really imparting like a lot of wisdom and giving me just so much invaluable advice and information about like the publishing industry and writing tips and things like that. And then also as a reader, it just makes me ecstatic when I'm, you know, talking to authors whose books I love, and like how often I'm a bit excited. How often do you get to speak to people that you idolize? And maybe idolizing people isn't a good thing, you know, maybe you shouldn't be putting people on pedestals. But I do with authors that I love, and when I'm reading books that make me think, oh, these are so good, I may as well just give up like that, and I get to speak to those authors. It's just so amazing. And it's the other thing I love about it, as well as like the practical side, in that I get content for my site that other readers get to enjoy, and I personally get to speak to these people that I'm dying to ask them questions about their work. But the other thing as well is that it really, every time I speak to one of these people, it really restores my faith in humanity a little bit, because I don't know, the world feels hostile to me at the moment. I don't know about you guys. I avoid the news, and unless I'm posting about books or, you know, checking in on my friends and stuff, I've been avoiding social media a bit as well, because I'm seeing just so much negativity and hate, and there's just so many terrible things going on around the world, and like even locally, and I'm finding it a bit depressing. And you know, everyone, you know, has personal stuff going on now and then as well, and it's just, you know, sometimes life gets you down, and then it really cheers me up that people that are so busy, people I don't even expect to hear back from about doing these interviews, you know, appear, and they're lovely, and they're willing to give us all their time and talk about their work and answer all my inane questions. And it makes me feel just so happy, and it just reminds me that there are like just really sweet people around, and it makes me feel really part of the bookish community as well, when I'm getting to talk to people that I look up to. And yeah, that's definitely, sorry, that was a bit of a waffle, but I just really appreciate that people will give me their time, and I've been very surprised by the people I've been lucky enough to get to interview, like indie or mainstream. Recently I got to speak to Erica Summers, and I'm so obsessed with her work, and she's so talented and creative and ballsy with the kinds of stories she's telling, and she hasn't like locked herself into a box where she just writes like one style. She's done sort of like pseudo extreme body horror, and then she's done like dark comic apocalyptic fiction. Like she's so good. And then when I got to speak to her, she was just the loveliest person. Like I could have spoken to her like for hours and hours and hours, like, and I just had to let her go in the end. But like, you know, that just makes me so happy. And then, you know, people that I've been reading Ramsey Campbell for decades. No one was more shocked than me when I contacted Ramsey that he was willing to do it, and so gracious and lovely. And yeah, so sorry, I'm just gushing about it now. But also this Sunday, the author interview for this Sunday, guys, I've lost my mind about it. I don't want to tell you who it is, but I'm so excited. I got really excited at the end there. I'm really excited about the author interview tomorrow. And I can't wait to share it with you. Yes, so yeah, once again, I'll link everyone I've discussed in the description, and in the comments. I'd really love it if you have any answers to these questions as well. I'd love to actually like talk to people. I'm dying to have some like bookish conversations, like two-way conversations. So yes, please indulge me if you're interested. I hope this video was okay, and it was a little bit different to what I normally do. Really excited to be with you on Sunday, and and share that. Yeah, and then otherwise I'll see you next week, and I hope you're all good, and feeling a little bit sentimental after my little author interview spiel there, so I love you lots, and thanks for being here, and yeah, really happy to have you in my goatee tribe, so please